Hi, I'm Carrie, and last week I did a video on these two mysterious deaths of these women involved with a firefighter out of Missouri. And I am back today with an update. Now, for those of you who are new to the story and did not watch my previous video, January 13th, the body of Sarah Sweeney, who was 39 years old, was found inside a firefighter's home in Westwood. It's a suburb just out of St. Louis, and her death was classified as sudden. She was a local doctor who had recently opened her own practice. She did suffer from a life-threatening condition, according to her lawyer, but her autopsy results are still pending and the investigation is ongoing. The discovery came 3.5 years after the same firefighter's previous fiancé was found dead from a single gunshot wound inside her previous residence in the neighboring suburb of Creve Coeur. Detectives said that he had told them that she shot herself in front of him, and her death was ruled as a suicide by the medical examiner. However, her family has been in an uproar since all this happened because they do not believe that she would ever do any self harm. They've disputed this for years and years. They've started a Facebook group. They've been ruffling a lot of feathers around that area. It seems like maybe finally, for what all that they're doing, is finally paying off. The first woman, the fiance, her name was Grace Holland, and she was 35 years old. They had a turbulent relationship. Okay, so we're going to listen to a little bit more of his 911 call.
What's going on?
My fiance just shot herself.
Your fiance just shot herself?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
She it's a mortal wound.
Okay.
I'm a captain with the fire district with Maryland Heights.
Oh.
She
Okay.
shot herself.
Okay, let me connect you over to Central County, okay? Hang on 1 second. So are you out in St. Charles, or is that where she's at?
No, Creve Coeur. Creve Coeur.
Okay.
Location of your emergency.
It's West Central with a transfer. He's at...
Okay, what's the emergency there?
My fiance shot herself.
She shot herself? Where?
She shot herself in the head. It's a mortal injury. I'm a captain with Maryland Heights. I'm
Okay, sir. I'm sorry. So she is beyond.
Yes, that's correct. I just need to.
So in September of 2023, her family filed a lawsuit against this firefighter in an effort to get more insight into the investigation into her death. Less than 4 months after the petition was filed, Sweeney's body was found in the same firefighter's home. Different home, but same firefighter. Sweeney's family told KMOV that they hadn't heard from her in 2 years, ever since they told her to stay away from the fire chief. The fire chief's attorney admits to some facts laid out in the suit, such as wanting to leave Grace and not have a baby with her, but denies the allegation that he had anything to do with her death. Creve Coeur Police still stands by its decision that ruling her death was a self-harm, saying all investigative authorities independently reached the same conclusion. The claim against this firefighter is that he physically and psychologically abused his first fiancée. They said that his statement to police was contradictory regarding the circumstances of her death in 2020. This week, the family's fight for Grace's death was pushed back into the headlines as it was revealed that while she was the first woman to meet an untimely end during her engagement to him, tragically, she was not the last. Their relationship lasted approximately 4 years, and it ended with her death from a single gunshot wound. According to the lawsuit, Holland's mother, Patricia, begged her to leave the relationship, allegedly characterized by vicious verbal and physical assaults. In one instance, in June of 2020, Holland reported that the firefighter pushed, shoved, and dragged her down the hall, pulling her clothes off. After this incident, her mother saw bruises on her arms, thighs, and spine. Later that same month, Grace called her mom during an episode in which he was yelling at her and throwing her things in the yard. Her mother could hear him in the background utter the chilling threats, "My brothers in blue are not going to do anything to me. I've already taken care of that. You're the crazy girlfriend, remember?" There's some things about her job in my last video. You guys need to go back and watch that because I don't want to put that in here in this one. I'll attach that video at the end of this one. Basically, he was controlling her money. She had 4 daughters from a previous relationship. They reportedly were afraid of him and witnessed numerous violent scenes between him and their mother. According to the suit, her daughters had told their maternal grandmother that this man had shoved her a lot, was always yelling at her, and that he was throwing the phones across the dinner table while they sat there. So he did a lot of abusive things in front of her, a lot of fits. At times, they said that he lost his temper over minor issues, such as the couch touching the curtain in the living room or silverware being out of place. Oh, God, you guys. I mean, this is like, this is textbook, right? There's actual video of him and her yelling at each other. Well, he's yelling at her. So it's in the previous video that I did. So if you want to watch that, I'll attach it. I'm still not going to release his name yet because no charges have been brought against him. Oh, this is horrible. In text messages, he had repeatedly offered Grace $600 to abort their baby. On July 17th of 2020, a benign conversation about home furnishings and carpentry ended with him saying, "I absolutely cannot be with you. I'm not marrying you. You and your effing kids, F you." 2 days later, he texts her, "I've asked you to leave several times. I don't want you there. I don't want you or your kids. I want away. I've asked you to leave. Take your Jeep, your things, leave. I'm done." Yet, after all that, they had a conversation about faucets to buy for the new house. The one thing that's odd about this, though, is I say usually when you hear about these really bad abusive stories like this, it's not that they want them to leave, it's they won't let them leave. So the fact that he's telling her to get the heck out, I mean, I wonder if in private he was like, "No, no, no, I'm sorry, don't go. I didn't mean it." On July 20th of 2020, he turned again on her in a text saying, "I want you out of my life. You did nothing but ruin my first night staying at the new house. The thought of you sleeping in that house makes me want to vomit. That's how much I hate you." 2 days later, Grace Holland was found dead. Now, according to the medical examiner, at 7:25 a.m. on July 22nd of 2020, a detective contacted their office and reported the facts as follows. Grace came to the living room to give him a hug, and she went back into the bedroom without speaking with him. Shortly after, he heard a single gunshot wound and located Grace in the bedroom with a gun and apparently blood beneath her head. The lawsuit notes that the only possible source of this information was him. But later, he went into the Creve Coeur Police Department, accompanied with his lawyer, and he gave a statement to police that included an entirely different narrative. Then he stated that he got up for work and was standing at his closet stacking clothes. He claimed that Grace left the bedroom, returned, and hugged him. He stated that he attempted to hug her back, but his arms were full. So she moved to his right side and then kind of hugged him by the side, and she pulled his face towards her. He claims that she said goodbye, at which time he heard a gunshot and witnessed her fall to the ground. The following year, they started investigating the claims from her family that there was some expensive jewelry missing. Her family states that if he did not pull the trigger himself, he had the intent to aid or encourage her to commit self-harm through his cruelty, including psychological and physical abuse. He even told her in one text that she could go kill herself. They believe he is liable for the wrongful death. It does kind of sound like Drew Peterson, doesn't it? Okay. So here recently, another lawsuit has popped up, it was already in the works, but I just found that she had some issues with her previous employer and she had filed a lawsuit against him. And in that lawsuit, some information came out about her relationship with him. Her former employer sought to subpoena him in a federal lawsuit. A memorandum filed in a lawsuit and a counterclaim between Dr. Sarah Sweeney and the Best Foot Forward Podiatry Clinic also claimed that she had described her boyfriend as abusive. It was filed in September of 2023, just months before police opened an investigation into her sudden death. Before she founded her own practice, she worked for this clinic in St. Louis. and she was suing them, alleging harassment and discrimination, and that her employer allegedly failed to compensate her for her work. So this was all in the works before her death. Attorneys from her former employer were trying to subpoena him in the case, arguing that communications between the two could be directly relevant if they pertained to her physical and mental health. I guess they're trying to say that he was causing her a bunch of stuff that might have had to do with her at her work. There's no telling. There might be more information in this suit than there is in the other one. During Sweeney's employment with this clinic, she was in a relationship with a person upon whom they'd been trying to serve with a subpoena. So Sweeney had told her previous employer that this firefighter was abusive and was suspected of murdering a previous girlfriend. So she knew about Grace. I wonder how long she had been trying to get out of the relationship. So in the same lawsuit, they were seeking text messages between Sweeney and her former colleague that might relate to her physical and mental health, especially in conversations mention the firefighter. They also filed for a subpoena seeking all electronically stored communications between the firefighter and the plaintiff, Sarah Sweeney. See, y'all, this suit could really bring out some stuff. You know what? That would be about as crazy as things are in the world. That this suit is what nails his coffin. So, okay, Sweeney claimed in the lawsuit that the clinic denied her health benefits and caused her to incur medical debt and business loans that she had left to found her own practice. As recently as December 21st, she told the court her personal assets consisted of $212 and she was in palliative care due to the lack of health insurance. Okay, so these are actual statements. I moved from Sarah. I moved to St. Louis, Missouri from Texas in order to work for defendant. Due to not being paid consistently or fully, and by not having health insurance, I have alternately been homeless and had to move several times since I arrived. I'm currently living with my boyfriend. Most of my belongings are in boxes. Both the clinic and the clinic's owner filed a counterclaim, accusing her of breaching her employment agreement, violating a non-compete, and libel, among other things. So the firefighter's attorney has not responded to anybody, I don't believe. But her family has told media that she stopped communicating with her mother and her stepfather after they sent her news stories about Grace Holland's death. So I think that's been about 2 years, I believe. According to her obituary, Sweeney did surgical residency in Miami before moving to Texas. After living in Florida, she opened her own practice in Creve Coeur, Missouri. At the age of 6, she was diagnosed with a rare and painful condition called Perthes disease. Perthes disease. It's spelled Perthes. Perthes, I believe is how they say it. Okay, one thing too that this is according to the Sun. Holland's death is also being reviewed again, but this time by the St. Louis County District Attorney's Office. So I don't know. It came after St. Louis Police Department launched a second investigation into Grace's death, but they had also deemed it a suicide. So St. Louis Police Department and the Creve Coeur Police Department both deemed it a suicide. And they're standing by it. But this is the St. Louis County District Attorney's Office, so that's very interesting. So that's the latest update, you guys. I think it's very, very telling. There's just too many question marks around this whole case. And honestly, both situations had question marks, you know? This might be it though. This might be what does him in. So I'm going to stay on top of it as just like I did today. When I find new information, I will be back on to give you guys updates. Thanks for watching. Everyone have a blessed evening. Pray for these ladies' families. God bless, and I'll talk to you soon.